Kevin Costner tells the truth. She was the love of my life. Fame in Hollywood, Oscars, multi-million-dollar homes, and loving fans all over the world. During his long and successful work, Kevin Costner has had all the good things that come with it. But beneath the Yellowstone star's sexy exterior and his tough cowboy exterior lies a man who has been through deep grief, passionate love, and painful loss. Today, as Costner gets closer to 70 years old and is once again single, he finally talks about the woman who really stole his heart, which has shocked both fans and people in Hollywood. This realization has been coming to me for decades, through several marriages, 7 children, and a job that has had both amazing highs and terrible lows. It's been years since Costner shared his deepest emotions with anyone. He has kept up the tough exterior that made him famous in movies like Dances with Wolves and The Bodyguard. The famous actor is finally telling the truth now that he is divorced and at a crossroads in his personal life. You will be shocked by what he tells you. Most people didn't think it would be the woman he calls the love of my life. People in Hollywood are shocked that he made this statement as he starts over as a single father at age 68. Wait until the end to find out the real reason Costner waited so long to say this. It will break your heart. This isn't just another love story between famous people. It's a story about what could have been, broken hearts, and a love that still haunts one of Hollywood's most famous starring men. Could you tell me where you are before we start this emotional journey? Leave a comment below telling me what country or state you're watching from and what your favorite Kevin Costner movie is. 3 special Yellowstone box sets are up for grabs to people who comment on this video. You can enter to win by leaving a thoughtful comment about which of Costner's parts spoke to you the most. Let's look at the confusing love life of Hollywood's most famous heartthrob. He played the tough cowboy John Dutton in Yellowstone, the love interest in The Bodyguard, and the crazy baseball fan in Field of Dreams. As an American male ideal, Kevin Costner has been a mainstay on our screens for more than 40 years. Strong, with strong morals and a strong will. For the real Kevin Costner, things have been a lot more difficult when it comes to love. From his college sweetheart who stuck by him when he was a struggling actor to his recent high-profile divorce, Costner's love life shows that he is always torn between his desire for long-term love and his commitment to his work. There is a greater story behind every relationship, marriage, and heartbreak. It's about a man trying to balance his amazing public life with his very human need for real connection. As we look deeper into Costner's love life, a trend starts to show, one that shows why he's finally ready to admit who has really had his heart all along. Let's start our trip through the loves. Kevin Costner has lost things and still feels bad about them. The latest confession by Costner is important, but we need to go back to the beginning to understand what it means. Before she became famous, rich, and praised by Hollywood, she was a young college student at California State University, Fullerton, who wanted to make it big. In 1975, Kevin Costner met Cindy Silva for the first time. She was a classmate and would go on to become his first wife and the mother of his 3 oldest children. In his own words, Costner was hooked right away. Lovely, she was nice, she knew more than I did. He told People magazine about how they met for the first time. She showed all the good things about women that I like. I was so proud that she agreed to go on a date with me. I was excited to show my parents her. This wasn't just another love story in college. For Costner, who was still making his way as a young man, Cindy stood for something pure and real in a world he wanted to escape. A world known for being shallow and having relationships that don't last. In 1978, they got married. Costner's early work was rough, but they got through it together. Cindy helped pay the bills while Kevin pursued his acting dreams. However, as Costner's fame grew in the mid-1980, thanks to movies like The Untouchables and Bull Durham, the relationship began to weaken because of the stress of his fame. The young man who used to be proud to show Cindy to his parents was now one of Hollywood's most sought-after leading men, and it was hard to say no to the opportunities that came with his newfound fame. After that, what had seemed like the perfect Hollywood marriage fell apart in a painful way. They were married for 16 years and had 3 children together, Annie, Lily, and Joe. In 1994, when Costner was at the height of his fame, they split up. It was said that the settlement was $80 million, 0 cents, making it one of the most expensive star splits of that time, but the emotional toll was much worse than the cash cost. Costner later said, "My faith was shaken by the split. No one wants their marriage to end, but it did. You will only get to see your kids half as much, who you love the most. That's a big loss." This early loss changed the way Costner thought about love and relationships for many years, making patterns that would show up again and again in his love life, and it would leave him with questions that he's only now, in his late 60s, starting to honestly answer. The wilderness years. After getting divorced from Silva, Costner went through what many people call his wilderness years, both emotionally and professionally. During the middle of the 1990s, he dated a number of women, but none of their relationships lasted very long. He didn't seem ready or able to make a commitment again after the painful end of his marriage. Costner dated Bridget Rooney for a short time during this time. They had a boy together named Liam in 1996, but the actor couldn't stay in a healthy relationship, not even after having another child. People who knew him well at the time said that Costner seemed lost and didn't know how to balance his public image as a romantic lead with his private struggles to make permanent connections. His quick romance with Beauty Elle might have been the most telling relationship from this time, McPherson, back in 1996. They moved in together after only a few months of dating, which could mean that Costner was in a hurry to find something real. He was said to have told McPherson at the time, "I feel I have met my equal with this beautiful, talented, funny, and lovely person." But by the end of the year, that relationship was over too. Since then, the actor's friends have said that during this time, Costner often talked about his first marriage with a mix of sorrow and longing. There was something about those early years with Cindy that made the ending painful. The honesty, the simplicity, and the shared fight were things he couldn't seem to find in his other relationships. During this time, Costner's career also took a turn for the worse, with movies like Waterworld and The Postman failing to do well with audiences and critics alike. It looked like he was losing his way in both his personal and work life because they were both getting worse at the same time. His once great career started to fall apart without a strong base at home. But it was a sharp reminder of how his work and relationships were tied to his sense of self. Another chance. Then Costner met Christine Baumgartner, a model and handbag designer 20 years his younger. It seemed like he would never be stable again. Their relationship began in 1998, and Costner seemed to have found someone he could see a future with for the first time since his divorce. On the other hand, this relationship had its problems too. They broke up for a short time in 2002 after dating for about 4 years. Costner allegedly didn't want to have any more children. Costner, who was already a father of 4, didn't want to start a family, but Baumgartner, who was in her late 20s at the time, said, "This is a big moment for Costner, something that told him that his fears of attachment might be keeping him from being happy." In 2004, they got married on his huge ranch in Aspen, Colorado. It was the start of an 18-year marriage that brought Costner 3 more children, Caden, Hayes, and Grace. Costner seemed to have finally found the security he had been looking for since the end of his first marriage for almost 20 years. In talks, he talked very positively about his friendship with Baumgartner. He really meant it when he called her his partner, but behind this public picture of a happy home life, tensions were rising as Costner's career took off with the hit show Yellowstone and his passion project Horizon began to take shape. It looked like history was about to happen again. After another tough day, Costner was pulled between his duties at work and those at home. The news shocked Costner's fans in May 2023 after he had just gone through a breakup. Baumgartner asked for a divorce after 18 years of marriage, saying that they could no longer get along. After that, there was a public and heated court case that showed the flaws in what many people thought was one of Hollywood's stronger relationships. The couple's lawyers fought it out in court over property, money, and custody, and the stories made the tabloids. Reports said that Costner's busy work schedule, especially his commitment to Yellowstone and his 4-part film series Horizon, had caused problems in the marriage that could not be solved. This second split seemed to hurt Costner, who is now 68 years old, the most. A person who knows the star well told People magazine that it wasn't something he wanted or looked for. He would make things different if he could. Costner said in his own statement that even the most carefully written statement couldn't hide the pain that was clear in his public appearances afterward. Interviewers noticed that the usually confident star had a more reflective and sometimes sad side as he promoted Horizon in the summer of 2024. They were more honest about their regrets, the price of ambition, and how hard it is to balance a busy job with family life. People magazine asked Costner how he was adjusting to life after Baumgartner filed for divorce. "You just do it," he said. "The kids are being coached and you're just interested in what they're interested in. I had to." Costner made the shocking statement that has since become the talk of Hollywood while on this promotional tour. He was still upset about his recent divorce at the time, one that has made many people question everything they thought they knew about the actor's love life. What they said. Costner was asked about love and whether he thought he would find it again in an honest moment during a very in-depth conversation. The beginning of his answer was pretty normal. That. As for the possibility of a new relationship, he said, "I'm not going to let anything harden my heart," which suggested that he was open to them despite his recent pain. But then the conversation took a strange turn. When asked about his past relationships and whether he had ever experienced the kind of all-consuming love he shows in his movies, Costner was silent for a moment. What he then said shocked the interviewer. He began slowly. "When I think about love, real love, the kind that shapes you, I always think about those early years. Cindy and I really did grow up together. We were kids getting to know each other. That first love stays with you in some way." The interviewer sensed that something important was going on and gently asked more questions. And that's when Costner said what has since been talked about all over Hollywood. "I loved her very much. We didn't make it. In many ways, that's my fault. That was it for real love, though. Since then, everything has been different." Many people who knew about Costner's work and love life were shocked when he said that Cindy Silva was the love of his life, almost 30 years after they got divorced. It seemed to say that even though Costner had been married twice, been in many relationships, and had 7 children, a part of his heart still belonged to his first wife, the woman who knew him before he became famous and believed in him when no one else did. Fans who had seen Costner play some of the most romantic roles in movies, like Crash Davis in Bull Durham and Frank Farmer in The Bodyguard, found this statement to be very real. Millions of people fell in love with him in his movies, but he never fully got over his first breakup in real life. How come you're telling this now, after all these years? What had changed in Costner for him to be ready to face this truth? The look back. Friends of Kevin Costner say that as he gets closer to 70, he's starting to think a lot about his work, his family, and the choices that have made his life what it is today. He has had to think about love, loyalty, and what's important in the short time we all have since he recently got divorced. At this point in his life, Kevin is thinking about what he wants to leave behind. One close friend told reporters about more than just his movies and accomplishments. They also talked about the people he's met or not met. There will be a judgment. Reports say that this reckoning includes getting back in touch with people from his past, like his first wife. Costner and Silva have kept a friendly relationship over the years for the sake of their children, according to several reports. In the past few months, though, they've spent more time together, especially at family events, with their grown children, grandchildren. Kevin and Cindy have kept close friends, and because Cindy is a wise woman, she has been helping Kevin get over his breakup with Christine over the past few months. One source told us that life does sometimes have a way of going full circle. The timing of this statement that Silva is the love of his life makes it even more powerful. Costner is currently putting all of his heart and a lot of money into Horizon, a 4-part Western drama that will be the pinnacle of his career. Reports say that he put $38 million of his own money into the project. This shows how important this last unique statement is to him. Costner seems to be just as focused on emotional resolution as he is on reaching a work goal. Taking on his biggest creative project at the same time as going back to and maybe ending his first and most important relationship shows that he is motivated to complete the circle in his life before it's too late. The real truth. But Costner's confession shows that there is a deeper truth behind all the Hollywood rumors and romantic prospects, one about love, sorrow, and the paths that were not taken. Costner gave an answer that applies to many people when asked to explain why he still thinks of Silva as the love of his life, even though he has been married and in other relationships since then, more than once. That first person who really sees you and knows you before you fully know yourself, though, sets the stage for everything else. If that base cracks, everything you build on top of it will be a little less stable. This thought gives us a glimpse into why so many of Costner's later relationships ended, even though they lasted for years or even decades. He himself said that he brought the ghost of his first love into every relationship after that, a standard of real connection that was hard to reach before fame and wealth. This also explains why, as the last parts of his career come to an end, Costner seems to be drawn back to the person who knew him when his story was just starting. I think this possible reunion has a symmetry that appeals to the storyteller in him. The idea that his own story might end in the same place it began interests him. Costner's public statement that Silva is the love of his life shows that he is being honest about how he feels. It's still unclear whether the two will get back together sexually, according to both of them. In public, he hasn't done that very often. This weakness goes against the tough roles he usually plays, showing the complicated, feeling person behind the Hollywood star. One friend said that Kevin is finally telling himself the truth about what he wants and what he's been missing all along. He feels free when he is honest, even if it doesn't lead to anything with Cindy. As if he were finally letting go of a load he's had for 30 years. This weight, the what if, that has followed him through subsequent relationships could explain why, despite his huge success, Costner has often seemed sad, like something is missing, even though he has done so much to pave the way forward. Once again, Costner has to deal with being a single dad. The question now is what will happen in his love life. His confession about Silva might paint a picture of a man stuck in the past and unable to move on, but those close to him say that by facing his past, he is finally ready to fully accept his future. I see myself getting hurt in love again. When asked recently about future relationships, Costner told reporters that people are meant to be together. I'm sure that could happen to me. He is open to new love, but he also knows that Silva holds a special place in his heart. Early this year, there were reports that Costner might be dating singer Jewel. He quickly cleared the air by saying that they were just friends. I don't want these reports to hurt our friendship, which is what we had. This careful care with his public image shows that he has learned from his past mistakes and knows how quickly rumors can hurt real relationships, whether they are sexual or just friendly. It's something you've learned after being in the public eye for decades. Costner says that for now, he is still focusing on Horizon, the project he calls the culmination of his movie vision and his kids, who are between the ages of 10 and 30. He's also not ruling out what could happen next in his personal life. He's looking forward to the future with both hope and hard-won experience. First time for something real and new to come in. There is a strong truth that comes out as we follow Kevin Costner's love life, from his college sweetheart to his recent divorce. Even though Costner is famous all over the world, he has had the same basic problems with love and relationship that everyone else does. It's not just famous rumors that he told her that Cindy Silva is the love of his life. It's a deep statement about first loves and the paths we didn't take that haunt us all. What makes Costner's story so interesting is that it goes against the fairy tales that most of his movies are based on. Love wins over all problems in movies like The Bodyguard and Message in a Bottle, but in Costner's real life, love was weaker, more complicated, and more easily broken by the stresses of fame, desire, and being human. After all these years, he still says that Silva is his biggest love, which is something we don't often see from famous people. Real sorrow, not a well-thought-out PR statement, but the honest admission of a man who has lived and knows what he has lost. He said that, "I was partly to blame for the fact that we didn't make it." A statement that makes it sound like he's had decades to think about what went wrong and how he contributed to the end of that important friendship. The fact that he made this confession right after his second divorce, and as he puts all of his heart into what could be his last great work with Horizon, shows that he is still trying to finish up the emotional business in his life. At age 68, Costner is still dealing with the memory of a love that ended almost 30 years ago and trying to figure out what it all means for the things that happened after. What can we learn from Costner's complicated love life and his shocking confession? One reason could be that time doesn't always heal all hurts. Sometimes it just helps us see them more clearly. When Costner was young and becoming famous in the 1980s and 1990s, he was focused on his goals, building a persona, and taking every chance that Hollywood gave him. When it comes to authenticity, honest connection, and coming to terms with the decisions he's made, the older Costner seems to care more. There's something general about this change that goes beyond Costner's fame. As we age, many of us think about our past and reevaluate our goals. We see the paths we didn't take and wonder about the ones who got away. The only difference is that Costner has gone through these very normal things in public, with the media analyzing every relationship and making his own pain worse because of his fame. But Costner is still open to love, even after the breakup and the attention from the public. He says, "I'm not going to let anything harden my heart." This is a very strong statement coming from a guy who has been through 2 painful divorces and many failed relationships. This toughness, his unwillingness to give up even when things go wrong, may be his most admirable trait. Sources say it's still unclear whether Costner and Silva will get back together romantically, but the fact that he recognizes how special she is to him is a kind of closure. By calling out what may have always been true for him, he's freed himself from the weight of a sorrow she didn't say. By doing this, he may finally be ready to write the next part of his story in an honest way, both on screen with Horizon and in his daily life, in any way that might look. That's the shocking truth behind Kevin Costner's latest confession about his love. From his early years with Cindy Silva to the years he spent alone after they broke up, to his 18-year marriage to Christine Baumgartner, to his time of reflection at age 68, we've followed one of Hollywood's most enduring stars' love life. His story shows us that even famous, wealthy, and successful people still have to deal with love, loss, and sorrow. What did you think of what Costner said? Does it change how you feel about his past relationships or the romantic parts he's played in movies? He felt bad about his first love because it couldn't last. Have you ever felt that way? To be in the running for those limited edition Yellowstone box sets, don't forget to leave a comment below telling me what you think and where you're watching from. Your comments also help this station get more people who want to know about the real lives of Hollywood's biggest stars. If you liked this movie, you should definitely watch How They Beat the Odds, our upcoming documentary about Hollywood's most stable marriages. In it, we'll look at the relationships that have stood the test of time in a field known for its unstable relationships. This is the right piece to go with today's look at Costner's more complicated love life. Don't forget to click like and subscribe on our station for more interesting facts about stars you thought you knew. Behind every Hollywood picture is a very real story of struggle and success, and we're here to bring those real stories to life. If you want to see more, just wait for the next movie.